Because Famidaily sticks to the Famicom games, things that were released in Japan, I have been sheltered from a lot of the worst things to hit 8-bit consoles. But every once in a great while, something manages to slip back over to Japan, and I get a train wreck. When I turned on Robocop 2, I immediately went, oh no, this is a Commodore 64 port. To somebody who played a lot of those computer games back in the 80s, Robocop is just blaring its European computer game origins. The wobbly music, the choice of colors, the fact that you can toggle the music and sound effects on and off independently, the HUD and the way graphics are layered. The only way that this could be more Eurogame is if you had to press up to jump. Robocop 2 was originally published by Ocean, a computer game company that specialized in terrible licensed games, and this port is the first game by Painting by Numbers, a very short-lived developer that made this Robocop 2 game for the Commodore 64, Famicom, and Game Boy. Then they made Darkman for the NES, Hook, which we're going to get to see, and Cool World. I'm going to assume that this developer only lasted 2 years because somebody held them accountable for their crimes against humanity. As for the movie Robocop 2, well, there's exactly one thing that people remember about it. The game overlaps the plot that nobody remembers. A new super drug called Nuke is flooding the streets, and Robocop has to destroy the drugs, as well as the gang that's behind it. The Famicom game is a side-scrolling platformer, and on every stage you have to collect 60% of the Nuke vials, and either rescue 60% of the hostages, or arrest 60% of the villains. For hostages and arrests, you have to physically touch them, and if you shoot them, then obviously it doesn't count. But they also die on their own after about 15 seconds. So if you're not running them down, you're gonna lose anyways. And this is one of those games with ratchet scrolling, where you can only go to the right, but not left. So if something is scrolled off the screen to the left, it's gone forever. And a lot of these items and people are in places that you can't reach. And that's because the level design here is terrible. They don't even tell you how many things you need to get. The numbers at the top for Nuke vials and people only count what you've done. There's just no way of knowing what the goal was until the stage is over. If you fail to meet those goals, then Robocop is sent back for remedial training after the level. And there you have to hit enough targets in the shooting gallery before time runs out. You have an auto-fire weapon, but you shouldn't auto-fire because it'll burn through your bullets too quickly and hit civilians. So just move around and shoot everything that pops up. And you have to keep an eye out for clocks falling from the top of the screen, because those will extend your timer, and getting those is pretty much required for completing the stage. There's also clips that drop from the top of the screen to increase your bullets. Of course, since the shooting gallery is 2 screens wide, sometimes you'll scroll over just in time to see one of those fall off the bottom of the screen. On the platforming stages, the A button jumps and the B button shoots, and Robocop handles like a freight train. Slow to get moving, and very slow to stop. Fortunately, the level design doesn't require that you do a lot of precision movement with extremely fast responses. Oh, no, wait, it requires that constantly. One of the strangest things is that Robocop will accelerate in the air. So if you're slowly jumping, and you're still holding in that direction, suddenly he could go from slow movement to fast movement. Robocop has an energy meter, that's the number next to the battery at the top of the screen, and you lose some of that if you're hit by an enemy attack. All other obstacles on the stage are instantly fatal to Robocop. You can collect batteries to replenish that energy. The other power-up that you can get are W's that give you an enhanced weapon. It could be armored piercing bullets, or it could be a 3-way shot that fires 2 additional bullets vertically. You can't aim up and down in this game, and that makes dealing with a lot of enemies a bit tricky. On some stages there are these rocket platforms that boost into the air when you hit the B button. You know, the button that you attack with, not the button that you jump with. And that's because you can jump off of the platform as well. But not all of the platforms with rocket engines work this way. It's similar for the kart platforms. Some of them you can steer, and some of them just vanish when you jump on them for no good reason. The level design in Robocop 2 has a lot of features solely to screw over players, like instant death traps 2 steps away from the ending of the stage. They did that on multiple stages. You have 5 lives in Robocop 2, though for some reason the life counter can only display 2 additional lives. At least they give you infinite continues, and you're going to need them. It cost me over a dozen lives, for example, just to figure out how to get past the first platform on stage 2. There are hidden areas on stages where if you stand in just the right spot and press down, Robocop will go to a bonus area where you can get more nuke. It's not worth your effort to try to find these. The kindest thing I can say about the reception of this game in Japan is that nobody's played it. This isn't something that gets people excited. The very, very few comments I found, though, seemed to be more generous than I was, though even they were more toward calling it interesting kusoge from Data East. Robocop 2 is a pretty bad game. But weirdly enough, the original Robocop was also a pretty bad game, to the point where I'm not really sure which one is worse. I mean, I just played Robocop 2, and I would not turn that system back on with that cartridge in it if you paid me. But then I think back to the original Robocop and how there was nothing fun in it. Robocop 2 is less ambitious, but Robocop 1 does more things wrong. Maybe just play neither of them and have a happier time.